Hello, hello. Welcome everybody to HHC Live. This is episode 65. Um I'm excited to be here. I got an echo on somebody's mic. I'm excited to be here. My name is Chris. I'm here with my three brothers, Jacob, Josh, and Juan. Now normally Jake around here runs hosting duties, but feeling a little hoarse, so I'll just be taking over for the day. So that's all cool. But welcome everybody. This is our brotherly centered Spurs centered podcast where we just like to get together, hang out with each other, and talk some Spurs basketball. So with that being said, it's a pretty eventful day. Super Bowl Sunday. I know I've already been up a little earlier just so I can start my errands a little bit, and there's going to be some cooking and cleaning and watching of the festivities, tonight. So want to jump in and get our Spurs talk going though before we turn our heads into towards the football game. So kind of a lot of stuff. Let me just real quick run around the table. Jake, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Like you said, my voice is a little shot, got a little sick, and trying to just recover from it. But I can't miss the HHC pod.
Yeah. We appreciate your dedication. Juan, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling all right. Feel a whole lot better if the Chiefs win today.
Okay.
Oh
All
yeah.
right. I think I remember. I think we all know Jake is leaning that way as well. So, Josh, first off, how you doing? Second of all, do you complete the trifecta? Are you rooting for the Chiefs today?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a Cowboys fan, so it hurts my heart to see these fools in there, the Eagles.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
it's all good.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I've grown accustomed. I guess no offense, you guys are Cowboys fans. You've also grown accustomed to watching the Super Bowl and it not like be your team, right? But like, I've grown accustomed to just watching football in general from that point of view of like, let's just have fun with it. So I'm ready for the day. It's gonna be a fun day. uh, so well, I guess let me just throw out the stuff that Jake normally says is follow us on Twitter. We're here at Heroes Half Court. We're at Heroes Half Court on Twitter. We're at Heroes Half Court on YouTube. I'm pretty sure we're at Heroes Half Court on Facebook. So if you see us around any of those avenues, just give us a like. Just so that our things kind of get spread and people kind of start to see. Last week we had a couple people who were able to kind of just sit in the conversation with us while we were talking, and it was a lot of fun. So we would love to just continue that. We would love to see those kind of things grow. So anything like that can help. And then if anybody's in the live chat throughout the day, when the things get posted on the VODs, throw a comment on there too on the VOD version, and that helps a lot too. So we appreciate all that kind of stuff. But anyways, we're gonna jump right in. From last week to this week, the biggest news, not just in Spurs land, but across the NBA, was the trade deadline, right? So we were able to make a few moves. I don't know if it reaches the level of the things that are in our heads, right? But also it goes right in line with what the Spurs normally do, which is we want the sexy pick, and they go the other way, and it normally is never as good as we hope, but also never as bad as we think, right? So Jake, I'll start with you so that you can kind of test your voice and see how long you want to be able to talk for and all that kind of stuff. But you can start with the Josh Richardson deal, sending him to New Orleans, or you can start with the Jakob Poeltl going back to Toronto. However you want to start. And while you're doing that, I'm going to start to pull up the details of the trade because I haven't done that yet. So I'll do that while you start up. So go ahead, Jake.
Well, before you do, I always have my trivia
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
stuff
My
like that.
bad. My bad, Jake.
And so this is at least one of the questions on the trivia, part of the weekly trivia challenge. And so the question was that, like, on deadline day, how many picks did the Spurs retain? Um,
Retain or attain?
Retain or get?
sorry,
Attain.
Obtain.
attain. Yeah,
Obtain.
that's what I meant to say.
Okay.
Um,
I'm not
and
gonna.
so,
I got sticky notes today.
right,
I'm
perfect.
gonna go old school.
So,
Let me
um,
see.
Chris was gonna pull up the trade details, but I do have the trade
Okay,
details.
good.
And so the Spurs did make a total of three trades on deadline day. Um, Obviously, there was the Toronto trade,
I see.
there was the New Orleans trade, but then there was also the Heat trade that happened like right at the very beginning of the day, um, or technically the day before, kind of thing. All leading up into deadline day, right? But yeah, we know that we had traded Yak away. We know that we had traded Josh Richardson away. Um, and we didn't. Like we traded a pick away, but I'm not gonna count that as like us losing a pick or anything like that when we traded with the Heat, because it's a top 55 protected pick, so it's gonna come back to us no matter what. But yeah, as we're we know that we're a different team now. We lost some core pieces, we gained some new pieces, a lot of different stuff that's happening with us. It was kind of honestly the same thing as it was last year when we traded Derek White, and we got two pieces back that we ended up throwing into the rotation throughout the year. So definitely a lot of different things that are happening with the San Antonio Spurs over the trade deadline. But yeah, I assume Chris is getting his answer filled in right here. Cool, sounds good. So Josh, you haven't been on in the last couple weeks. I want
Yeah.
to get your answer. How many picks do you think we got out of our trades?
Look, I put
He
up
said,
a
"Look."
6.
Okay.
Nice 6. Okay. Juan, how many picks?
Went 9.
Oof.
Okay, and then
Uh,
Chris.
I almost went 9. I was scrambling. I also had to go old school, so I went 8.
8. All right. So
Are we
our
all
first
wrong?
trade, our first trade was with the Heat, in which we had traded our second round pick to get Dwayne Dedman and a second round pick in
Right.
that trade.
Okay.
Our next trade was with Toronto, where we had unfortunately traded Jakob Poeltl to get Ken Birch, as well as a first and 2 seconds.
Oh, I didn't know about the seconds in that trade. So it's 8.
And so then, finally, with New Orleans, we traded Josh Richardson to get 4 second-round picks. All equals up to 8 picks.
I did
total.
not know about the second round picks in the Jakob trade.
Yeah. So we had
That's why I
gotten,
went
we had gotten
6.
2 seconds. Yep.
Yeah.
No, you were close, Josh, and obviously it's hard to keep up with all the second round pick accusations because
They're
there
throwing them
were
hoes
second
around.
rounders being thrown in the trade deadline day. But yeah, so that was the first question. Uh, we were kind of talking about this before last week and stuff like that. I just want to touch up on it again. But how many points do y'all think Malachi Branham has been averaging in the month of February? Juan gave me a very nice detail earlier before we got on the pod, and that was that Malachi Branham is leading all rookies in scoring in the month of February. So that's really good. We're seeing a lot of development for our rook, even though I'm sure a lot of us didn't think that he was going to even be playing with the patterns that Pop has. So it's always nice that we're seeing guys like Malachi and Jeremy. Hopefully Blake here soon. Once he can find himself some consistent minutes. But for sure, Malachi and Jeremy. for sure, Malachi and Jeremy so far. But Juan, since you knew that he was averaging the most points as
He
of
probably
the
already
rooks in
knows it on the
February,
dot.
what's your answer?
17.9.
17.9.
Yeah, he knows it.
Interesting. Josh, how many points?
Oh, I threw up on the same sticky note.
21. All right. And Chris?
21. I went lower than Josh. 19.8.
19.8. So, in the month of February, Malachi Branham has been averaging 17.3 points.
Oh, I thought this one knew it.
So, so Juan was really close, but
I looked at it last night.
Dang.
I gotta assume because how many points did Malachi score last night?
I have no idea. It wasn't 20 plus, so that's why I knew his number went down. He was averaging 18 for the month going into last night. And
see, and I feel like I saw the stat too, but I felt like it was higher.
But yeah, and so when he didn't score 20 plus, I was like, okay, his average is going to drop. So I checked to see if a Jabari Smith or Paulo went for 30 and their average might have jumped up, and Malachi was still at the top with 17 point something, and I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah. So
which I know it's only been 11 days as of last night into the month, but to start the February off just kind of on a little heater like that, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, he did. He scored. He scored 10 last night, just for the record.
Yep. So lastly, our the thing that I wanted to bring up is that we're kind of pretty decent in like that second and third quarter, but pretty abysmal in the fourth quarter, and then depending on how well we want to start off, we can be good or terrible in the first quarter. Uh, I want you guys to guess who has the most first half points on our team. On top of that, I want you to guess who has the most second half points. And this is averages. Sorry. I'm talking like totals, but this is averages, right? So who averages the most in the first half? Who averages the most in the second half? And then as a bonus, who's averaging the most in overtime? Um, but yeah, the cool thing about this is it is generally like the same people, same names are getting put up on this on these things. Whoever's first, second, or third in all of first, second half points, um, and then same thing with overtime. So we kind of know who's been scoring for us. Obviously, he's not first right now, but Devontae Graham has been killing it in terms of just like scoring. Uh, he uh, he's been in the two games that he's played with us. He's been putting up some solid numbers just to score for us. So it's been cool to see him jump up on those on the scoring charts for the Spurs.
So how does the points work on this? If we get the like first half right, we get a point, or is it we have to get all three of them right to get a point?
You'll get a point if you get that first half, if you get the second half, and if you get the overtime. So this could be 3 points. This could be a real game changer. I know you guys don't know what the score totals are right now, but if I'm keeping up with the numbers right, y'all, I feel like y'all are all still pretty close, and nobody's really like shot out too far, just because there's been a week where y'all are all right, and then there's been weeks where y'all are all wrong. So
I know I
but,
missed a couple. I know I missed a
yeah.
couple. I think I'm falling behind.
I was about to say if I can remember correctly, Josh would be last, but that's just because he hasn't been able to answer in the comments, stuff like that all the time. But yeah, Chris, who's our first half point average?
All right, I'm just gonna give you all three. Oh, you want me to give the averages or just the name?
No, name.
Okay,
Okay, I just wrote the names too.
I went first half Jeremy, second half KJ, OT. I put J Rich, RIP.
Mm-hmm. Gone but not forgotten.
Gone but not forgotten. All right,
Damn it.
Josh.
Yep.
What are
On the
our
same
names?
sticky note. The first, Jeremy Sohan, second, and OT, KJ.
Oh, I like that.
Okay. Juan, what you got going?
Well, first half Keldon, second half Keldon, overtime.
Yeah.
Figured you'd be right somewhere, right? Well, y'all all put Keldon for your second half, right? If I'm not
Yes.
mistaken.
Yeah.
So Keldon did indeed lead us in averages on the second half points. He was at 11.7. Okay. Our first half points, I think y'all are wild for putting Jeremy, because while Jeremy's been amazing as of late, y'all remember what that man looked like in the beginning of the year?
No.
So
Go ahead. Finish it up.
his averages are not nearly that high in terms of a full season.
Mhm.
And so you got to think about.
Well, I
who's
feel
been
like in the first half at the beginning of the season, he would only score in the first quarter, and then he would.
Yeah, well, that's so. I know I was gonna let you finish, but that's where my thing was too. Is that he always kind of comes out with a lot of energy. Mix that with Devin's been out. Mix that with KJ was out for a little bit too. I was like, it could be.
I just like last night. That's all he did. That's all he played was the first half. He had 18 and a half, and what he ended with.
Yeah, or
18.
or a
Like-
game where he starts and then we're non-competitive in the second half, so then they don't play him as much
He
anyway.
only played 20 minutes last night, and he had 18 in the first half, and that was it. They sat him.
But anyways, Jake, tell us why we're wrong.
Well, I'll say that
You
your
better not be Trey
numbers.
Jones.
Jeremy
Yeah.
Sohan is at 5.7. Keldon averages 10.2
Whoa.
for the first half.
Yeah.
But our leading scorer is Devin Vassell at 10.9 for first half points.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I
Sure.
forgot about my boy since he's been injured.
Where is he in the second half? Because I've always said he pisses me off too, because he'll have one good half.
Yeah, so this is why Keldon's scoring is a little bit more consistent in the sense that Keldon was at 10.2 in the first half and then 11.7 in the second half. Devin goes from 10.9 in the first to 8.4 in the second.
Oh, only 2 points. Well, I
So
thought
it's
for some
not
reason I thought
it's
it was
not
gonna
a
be way lower than that.
it's not a hard drop off, but you can still see
Yeah.
how Keldon rises up and Devin kind of takes the back seat in the second half.
Yeah.
Sounds like
and
Devin's points.
then
He's still
and then
OT.
as for OT, our leading scorer is not Keldon Johnson. Keldon Johnson's played 2 games in overtime, and I think it kind of like brought his average down, but because overtime counts for both overtimes, our leading
Graham.
scorers are Devontae Graham and Malachi Branham, both
course.
at 5 points. So they had
Dang.
2 overtimes to be able to average more than Keldon Johnson
There you go.
in Keldon's 2 games that he's played in overtime. So
Yeah, but missing a game doesn't bring down your average. So that means
yeah, I
Keldon
know.
doesn't score in overtime.
Yeah, but like yeah. I mean, you don't score a lot in overtime. That's never been like a
Yeah, but you
big
would hope your best player would score more than 5 points.
yeah.
That's why we're 0-3, 0-4 in overtime.
Yeah, no, I mean you got a point there. We have Keldon at only 4 and Devin only scored 2 in like the one overtime
Yeah.
game that he played. So
And I'll be honest, I messed the math up on that one real bad because in my head it was like, well, Devin has been missing time, so his average it's like, in my opinion, the games he missed did bring his average down. You know what I'm saying?
I will
Because
say
the number of games kept going up. But I messed it up. Go ahead.
I will say the moderator kind of started off with totals, so it made you feel like first half scoring all year, and then he said no averages, and so like your mindset's kind of warped. You're like thinking, oh, Devin's disqualified because he's missed 40% of the season.
Okay.
well,
I normally I like to defend Jake, but I kind of like where
He's
Juan's
like,
going
well,
on
oh
this.
well. Well,
I
y'all
can't.
got it.
Yeah, I mean at the end of the day, the moderator
Gives
is
us
the
king.
president.
He said
Is the
overruled.
president of the Vassell fan club. So he I continue to try to get as much Devin propaganda as I can,
Mhm.
even though it's at the detriment of your guys' score totals. But yeah,
You gotta play the refs like when you in the game, you know what the ref he calls when he doesn't like you complaining. You gotta know when to shut up.
start throwing T's out everywhere, point deductions. But you know that first question was the pick question, and we can bring that back in. I won't talk too much because now my voice is starting to come back down. But
Oh man.
you know, it was it was exciting to see how many picks that we got in total. I was happy to see all that kind of stuff as just like a general overview. I was upset to see us trade Yak. I don't know if we could have gotten a better trade or not, but for a trade that we got, I was just like, man, we traded Derek White for Josh Richardson, Romeo Langford, and a first round pick, and then we traded Yak for Ken Birch and a first round pick and some seconds. So
Yeah, but people are gonna be a little different with their tone if that's a top 10 pick next year. If it's number 8, 9, then they'll
yeah,
be like, oh, we traded Yak for this. And then what are people gonna be saying then? But yeah, if it's like a 15, 20, 25 pick, it's the same thing as what you got for Derek White.
Well, I do think that Toronto's gonna get better. Brooklyn's gonna fall off, like as far as the standings in the East goes. So
And the East is wide open. It's like Boston and like Milwaukee, Philadelphia.
then-
Like if Philadelphia gets hot, like
at the
Who
bottom,
else?
it's all. I mean, you could Toronto could easily go way up there, if they win a couple games in a row.
but I don't know. I agree with like Jake at first. Like I didn't love the Jakob Poeltl deal. I kind of was ready to move on, I guess. Like I was like, well, we might as well get something for him because I told Josh this the other day when I saw him. I was like, I am kind of was tired of like just letting LaMarcus buy out and walk for nothing. Um, like even like the Pau Gasol, like we just held on to everybody just a little too long. Even like DeMar, people point to that like might have been a year too long. We held on to him. At least we got something for DeMar when he left in free agency, but like I was kind of ready for Yak to move on, and then I saw the deal, and I don't know if a cold feet is the right term, but it's like once you see it, you're like, oh wait, like I don't know about this now, and I don't know. I'll talk myself into it some nights, and some nights I'll be like, oh my god, we just traded Yak for nothing. But if Toronto falls off, like I don't know, a lot of Raptors fans weren't like they wanted to get rid of like Fred VanVleet. I don't know if you guys have like looked on like posts like on Twitter or something like they wanted to get rid of some of these guys, and I guess that was the expectations that they might have like traded a piece or two. That Gary isn't Gary Trent on the Raptors, like
Mhm.
they might have traded a couple of their pieces away, and so if that happens over the summer and they trade away Fred and Gary Trent, and then like some team comes in to swoop Pascal Siakam, we're in a good spot. But that's a lot of like hopes and ifs as
Yeah.
far as like that pick in the return for Jakob
Yeah,
Poeltl.
and just kind of going off of that, in my opinion, I feel like they would keep a guy like Yak, or attempt to keep a guy like Yak, really push to keep a guy like Pascal, and then do all the things that you just said with all the everybody else at this point. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
they've kind of taken their current iteration. I don't want to say as far as it can go, but I mean they've tried a lot of different things, and now they're regressing. It looks like, right, or at least at the very least standing still. So that would be my head. That's where my head would be at for like their roster. But in general too, like I'm okay with getting some return, like you said. It sucks that we've become more and more accepting of these trades because they've just happened a lot, right? Uh our team from the bubble is gone. You know what I'm saying? And the bubble doesn't feel like that long ago, right? So it's just it is what it is at this point, right? I'm gonna miss Yak, man. Yak was a guy that when I was watching clips, and I think it was like, I don't know, some random video like best buzzer beaters of blah blah blah, and it just showed clips from like the last couple years, and there was a clip of him, and it was DeMar, and it was like young, and it was like LaMarcus Aldridge, and I was like, dang man, we had baby Yak too, like we were able to see him grow and build and all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna miss him. I'm gonna miss him for sure. It is the nature of the game, so I'm okay. I'm okay with him parting ways. The return of it all, I'm all right with Birch. Just trying to see what is he got? What else are we gonna do? I mean, we'll get into our what our roster looks like a little, in the second half of this conversation. But and then as far as Jay Rich goes, I mean, Jay Rich did everything that we wanted him to. I think I talked about it. Like I was thinking about hanging on to McDermott over him when it came to one of those two guys. So it kind of went the way that I expected it to. And then getting Graham back kind of felt like they were going to try to plug in a lot of the same stuff that they wanted him to do offensively. They're gonna ask Graham to do. That's what it felt like when I first saw it. So those are kind of my initial reactions. Josh, how did either one of the trades? How did they hit you?
I mean, I told y'all like I wanted to keep Yak just in case we got Scoot. I feel like he would have helped that out like tremendously next season. I mean, if we were to fall to 2, or if we were to get one of the top 2. But I mean, when I looked at like that, they only got like, I think Kyrie only got traded for 1 first too. So we got a first in return for Yak. So as far as like the return goes, I was okay with it. I don't know. I mean, we might be able to flip some of our picks. I feel like we got crazy amount of picks right now, and I don't think we're going to use them all. So we might be able to package a couple of them bad boys and get some players come the draft time. Or I mean, we'll see what happens in the future. But as far as a return, I'm okay. Like I'm gonna see. I am sad to see Yacht go, even though I was telling Juan like I just hope he plays out the season and just comes back anyway. So wishful thinking.
You're saying Jakob?
Yeah, just
Yeah,
go
would
finish
love
the
that. I would
season in
love that.
Toronto and then just come back and re-sign with us. I feel like
Yeah, I would love that.
the reports were saying like we wanted to re-sign him. He was like willing to stay. Like I was reading some of that, so I was like, well, good. go back to Toronto where you got drafted, and then just come back home.
Yeah, and if you're a guy looking to show your worth in your as the next contract is coming to an end, go do it for a team who's making a better push than we are and is trying. You know what I mean? They have reasons to play basketball still, like for different reasons over there. So go over there and show that you can help, like give them more wins, and then we'll give you just a little bit more money, and you come back. You come back over here. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like,
come back after we get a draft picked.
I'm trying to look for the tweet. I'm trying to look for the tweet that I had seen like kind of immediately after the deadline passed, and it kind of said what you just said about how like you compared the fact that a Kyrie deal only gets you one first round pick, and it was basically just saying that there weren't a lot of first round picks going around in the trade deadline, and out of those very few, the Spurs got one of those. So like,
Yeah,
you can't be that mad, or you gotta take your wins, or you gotta take some of that as a win. I can't seem to pull it up. I'm pretty sure it was Matthew Tynan on Twitter. If anybody wants to check that out, but I agree, right? And I'm with you. My preference is to keep him, but if this could be it could be something if the door's still open, I guess I should say, right? So, we'll hold on to him.
Say we do get one of those picks, right? Say we do get one, like maybe that, like, oh dang, let me go back over there. Like it could, you never know.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
What year was it when Sean Elliott went to
Detroit.
Detroit.
Yeah, and he came right back. He was traded. Yeah.
I don't know too much about that. Obviously, I wasn't born, but like if something like that happened, yeah, I would be awesome. And I don't know. I haven't really seen any of his comments like after he got traded. I don't know if
Yeah, I
said
haven't seen anything.
I hope he's not like.
I did
Yeah.
read some. Let me see if I can pull some up. But I did read some. And he was pretty just kind of complimentary. I think about like he was saying that he was glad that it's over, like the trade deadline part is over, because he said that it was pretty crazy. There was a lot of rumors going around. And then I think he said something along the lines of I mean, he had a lot of good things to say about the Spurs, but then also just kind of about like his connection with Toronto and how it's probably going to be a good thing for him there too. Let me see if I can pull some of that up.
Yeah, I totally would be down for him to come back. I don't know. Like if I would want to sign Yak for $20 million a year. Why another reason why I was ready to. I guess we can move on because I don't want to be handicapped like the team, the ceiling, with this team if we're paying, all Devin, Keldon, Jakob, everybody $20 million a year. And if we don't get like a top 2 pick this summer this year, it's like, I don't know. I just was kind of getting like cold feet because, yeah, like Keldon and Devin, they're not the number one guys right now. And Yak's not the number one guy. We saw Zach Collins immediately go for 30. I know it was against Detroit, but like, he dropped 30 and 10. And it's just like, I kind of wish Yak was doing stuff like that all year. Like this team was bad and he had a lot of opportunity. I wanted him to kind of be aggressive and get his shot or average 15 and 12, 16 and 12, but it just never panned out. And that's kind of another reason why I was like, okay with moving on from him. But like I said, I've been flipping back and forth on like, all right, well, I wish we would have kept him because I'm on the fence with it. And I probably will be
It will be interesting to see. I mean, like, does he play harder for the Raptors because they have something to play for? To finish out this year, or because it's getting now. I mean, now is that final push, right? Where people are either making it their push towards the playoffs, or they're making the push towards the offseason and what that means for their careers and their contracts and all that kind of stuff, right? So we'll see. It'll be cool to kind of keep tabs on him, kind of the same way that, like, at least the way that I every now and then get to periodically check in on like Derek White in Boston, and even to a lesser extent like Lonnie Walker in LA. But it'll be cool to check in on him, see how they're doing. And then at the end of the day, it's like we gave him an opportunity to go and prove his worth as an upcoming free agent, and then we'll be a player in that market for a big man next offseason. So you know what I mean? Like we'll have a shot. We'll have a shot to see if we want him back as an organization, and then if we do, it'll be based off of the things that he's shown us, at the end of this year and while he was with us. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Does anybody I mean, I'll be honest, man. I don't fully understand the workings yet of like why so many second round picks were going around and just like what I mean. Yeah, I get the theory of like, well, you can turn 2 seconds into a first later, or like I get like the theory of that, but like have we seen that happen before too many times? Not really, right? So it's like I don't know, like it might just be something that the NBA owners and all the franchises are just more privy to, but I don't know, like how did that throw y'all off? I mean, we all play like 2K, so the numbers make sense, right? It makes sense, but it's just kind of weird at the same time. I don't know. How did like that part of it?
I'll be throwing
whether it
second
be
round picks around like crazy in 2K.
yeah,
You say that. I'll throw in five
exactly,
second
right?
round picks.
Exactly. So like, and we've seen like in the big blockbuster trades, we've seen like the 4 or 5 first round picks. We've seen that happen, but it's always like a huge name. So now it's like medium sized names, a lot of second round picks. So I don't know, like how did that hit you guys when you
So
started seeing them?
the biggest thing that I got was that like these contending teams are way down with trading their seconds, because if you're a Milwaukee, those seconds are supposed to be in like the 50s, you know? They're supposed to be in like the bottom 10 picks of the draft for the next 5 years. So it's okay trading all those seconds for a guy like Jay Crowder, because you're gonna be contending, you know, like if you have Giannis on your team, you're going to be contending, you're going to be pushing. So then those seconds aren't going to have much value, because they're not even going to be at the top of the second round board. You know, you're going to be having those, they're not going to be your 30s, you know. And so then like where in the 30s, maybe even in the 40s, but mainly in your 30s, you know, that's when people are like, oh well, these are where the guys that should have been first round picks but just like slipped right out of the first round went, you know. And so it's like one of those things where for a team like Milwaukee, and then to bring it to San Antonio for a team like New Orleans, they're not expecting to have those second round picks be much of value, because they're supposed to be contending for so long, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but also, but okay. So, but I get that part. If you're New Orleans, if you're the Spurs, do I need four? Do I need draft pick number 55, 56, 57, and 58? You know what I'm saying? Like, do I need that? I don't know.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the part that I haven't fully, so Juan, go ahead. Like, where does that, like,
I am just like baffled. Like I don't like it at all. I've said this a lot. Like I don't want to be like the Thunder where we're just drafted a bunch of people and they're just getting cut and we're just getting rid of them because we have 50 picks. And like exactly to that point, like if the contending teams don't want these second round picks because those guys aren't gonna help the team. We saw what happened to Joe Weezy last year. He was a second rounder and there was like, oh cool, like, you know, we got like a little bit of a shooter here, and then we just got rid of him after 1 year. Like, we're just gonna do that for the next 5 years? Is just draft guys, make them take up a roster spot, and then throw them
yeah.
away? Like,
And it's really weird. Like, I think the part that kind of not rubs me well, I don't know if it's like if it rubs me the wrong way or if it's just something that we're gonna have to get used to because we are a bottom team right now. But it's like it feels like just the shelf life of our players has been shrunk, right? And so it's like it makes it harder to feel attachment to the players because like what you said, you feel like they're just going to get cycled out quicker. It makes you feel more empathy for them because you understand like the margin of error is so small for them. Like you make one wrong mistake and you're probably just going to be gone because we got 12 other draft picks in next year's draft anyway. So maybe we can find somebody who's going to be better than you on day one than you are after a year with us. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And you get to see that cutthroat part of it right up front. And I think that's what's hitting me the hardest or just making me like where I can't really vibe with it just yet. You know what I'm saying? And we haven't had to deal with that at all. You know what I'm saying? We've had so much stability, and this is the things that you deal with when you don't have that stability from a roster standpoint, not from a organizational standpoint or anything, but you know what I'm saying? From a roster standpoint, when you have those linchpins, you only have to do the small tweaking. And that's when you bring in the savvy vets and you do this, but we're just the rookie factory right now. We're seeing, like, so I don't know that I think that's kind of where my head's at. Josh, do you want to add anything else to that?
No, like I know we got four for J Rich, but the James Wiseman deal, that was like 4 or 5 seconds, right? So
It
I
was
was
5 seconds to the
so
Warriors.
I was like, maybe that's what we do, find another team like us that drafted somebody high that they're not high on, and we just trade all our seconds for that guy in the next year or so. Maybe we're thinking that route. I don't know. But I mean, I
Maybe
don't.
it's James Wiseman this offseason once Golden State vetoes
Well,
that trade.
yeah, I was gonna say they might not even trade him. They're gonna keep him, right? Because Gary Payton's broken. But I mean, I don't know. I don't see the point of all our seconds
Yeah,
or
so that's
anybody holding all them seconds.
that was like another part of the point I wanted to make is like exactly what Chris says. Like, have we even seen these second rounders turn into anything besides like that deal? What in the past 5 years has second round like done that's gotten somebody like not a contending team, Jay Crowder, but like a team like us, like or the Pistons? Like, I would do that. I would trade all those fourth round or second round picks. We got all four of those for a James Wiseman. I would have traded one or two. Like that's what they were saying the market was. You just had to trade a second rounder. I wanted us to do that for James Wiseman.
Cam Reddish or James
Yeah.
Wiseman.
And so
maybe that's the point. Well, now we have 4 to play with at some point. You know what I mean?
4 more. We've been kind of stockpiling. We got one from Miami. We got this year. Like I would not be mad if we overpaid for like to one up these deals. You know what I mean? Like if James Wiseman was going for 2 second rounders, and then who was it? The Pistons. They swooped in and said, "All right, we'll give you 4 or 5." Then the Warriors are like, "All right, we'll take that deal." I guess like that's us over the summer or something like that. Then sure. Like if we paid 2-3 second round picks for Cam Reddish this year,
Yeah,
I would have been fine. Like I wouldn't even be upset because I don't care about those second round picks like at all.
And so, at least in this year's standpoint, the only thing that I can say that I think can be beneficial is like we know that our second round pick, like the Spurs originally owned second round picks, going to be top 33, top 34. You know, like it's going to be one of the bottom. It's going to be one of the top picks because we're one of the bottom teams, right? And so we got Toronto's second round pick this year, which would be like, in like the middle-ish of that second round. I'm trying to remember if the Heat's second round pick was this year or if it's like a later year. Yeah, it's 2028, so that doesn't matter. But I know for sure we have two second round picks this year, right? And at least when you have a pick that's like right outside of the first round, it's a lot easier to make those deals with those teams that are at the end of the first round to trade into, so we can try to talk and facilitate a deal where we can, move our second round pick, move the Toronto second round pick, and just whatever else. Maybe, I don't know if throwing 4 second round picks to get like a late first round pick would even be like a thing that some teams would want. But, like there could be a chance that there's like a team in that like 20 to 25 range willing to just move down because they just don't see anybody that they like. And then they're going down to not even 10 spots because they're going to be right there at the beginning of the second round, So
yeah.
Well,
It's interesting. Like, I mean, we haven't seen the big batch of second round picks yield something super crazy just yet. So the value is whatever we desire it to be, right? Or whatever we distinguish it as. So if for the next like 2 years or something like that, people really, really like to hoard all these seconds, and then 2 years from now, people start to see it as a waste, well, then let's use them as a valuable tool while people still hold them valuable, I guess. You know what I'm saying? So from that point of view, it makes sense, Go
we
ahead,
don't
Juan.
even have our second rounder this year. It says we have the Indiana second rounder and the Toronto second rounder, and the Indiana one is 31 through 55 protected. So we're not even going to get that one for this season.
Nice.
Yeah, like that's like we traded for a pick, or we have somehow acquired a pick from Indiana that is basically the whole second round protected, unless they're a top 5 team in the league.
So that like makes it that we'll get
Or
it for next year or something.
Maybe
or
they're
what?
just fillers, right? They have to be thrown in there, but we don't even want them. They're like,
mean,
nah, go ahead.
Well, see, and that's the point, though. That's the whole point of it is like, so then are they doing deals that involve second round picks that both parties don't want? And if that's the point, are they just doing it because it makes the numbers add up? Or are they doing it like, you know what I'm saying? Like
They
that,
have
like
to
that's the
Build
stuff
the
that
relationships, like
exactly like do they see? They probably do. I mean, they have to see them as very small. They can't be that valuable, right? I mean, there's only so many roster spots to go around. Everybody knows how hard it is to get in the league. all that kind of stuff. So
I was trying. I was
now
trying to
now
think
that
like
being said, maybe
in
if you
recent memory, who are the best second
go ahead.
round picks? Like,
Well,
do people value them more? Like, are there more second rounders like doing things?
now
Like,
if the
I'm
Spurs
just trying to think.
if the Spurs want to go and be the first team to start hoarding second round picks because they want to draft who's like on their Austin team and they want to build it that way or something, you know what I mean? Sure. Fine.
Yeah.
Whatever. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna get this guy just so we can send him down or something. Oh no, because then I guess you got to make decisions on those guys that you actually draft, or I don't know. I don't really know how all the inner workings of that kind of stuff works. But again, it's just like it's an interesting thing because it feels kind of new, right? Like people sending out big batches of these second round picks. So we'll see how it kind of develops as we move forward. And really all you need is for one of those things to hit before it just keeps going. People keep wanting more and more second round picks. But we'll kind of move on. We'll kind of transition. We kind of framed that conversation in terms of who was leaving our team, Yak and Jay Rich, and a little bit of what we got back in return in terms of the capital. But so far we've gotten to see Graham now in 2 games. We haven't seen Birch yet. So if you guys just want to real quick give your general what you think what you think they could bring to us, either A, for the rest of this year, or do you want them to bring anything to us for next year? So Josh, if you don't mind, I'll start with you. Graham or Birch, what you thought about them coming in and what you want from them.
So Birch, I really couldn't tell you anything about him. I don't even know who the guy is or how he plays. But as far as Devontae Graham, like it was to me, it's Jay Rich with a Jay Rich. So like that's how I feel. It's the same like role. Like you're gonna come in, you're gonna score, and then you're gonna go sit back down. So I like it. I mean, I feel like we didn't lose nothing, we didn't gain nothing. It's kind of like the same player to me.
Both Kim Birch and Graham are on contract for next year. Do you automatically are like,
Oh,
let's just be willing to get rid of him next year? Are
no,
you
I did tell Jake, or I think we talked about it in our group. Where, like, I was like, "Well, that's like him going forward would be good." And Jake was like, "No, I just want our young guys to play." But I feel like if we do get a high draft pick, and that does bring people, like we're gonna need those, like right now, Blake
those
Wesley, like
mid-level kind of guys?
yeah, like right now, or like going into next year, depending on how, unless Blake Wesley like blows it out of the park the second half of the season, like I'll play Devontae Graham over Blake Wesley right now, unless there's a super good offseason. But like we're gonna need those players. So like I wouldn't mind keeping him, like, but as far as Birch goes, like I have no idea. Like I could not tell you a single thing about that guy right now.
So just I only watched a few highlights because I didn't really haven't, and he's been in the league for a little bit, but I haven't really seen him.
Is he young? Like I couldn't even tell you that. Like I
He's
don't even know
30.
who he
He's
is.
No.
30. He's 30 years old. He's been in the league for about five years or so. It's 5-6 years probably. I think he started in Orlando.
He was a hooper in
Okay.
Orlando.
And then went to
Hooper?
to Toronto. So he's 6'9". He's like a center. He's like a center. So he'll play that.
Breaking news.
Go ahead, Jake.
Breaking news. The San Antonio Spurs are releasing Stanley Johnson.
What?
Oh,
This
you
is something
serious?
that just happened per Shams. Per Shams.
Why? I like Stan.
I
interesting.
wonder. He just
Maybe
will
to
now
just
look
let
to
him go
join us.
play.
Yeah, this says that Johnson had a strong stint with the Spurs this season, shooting 45% from the 3, and will now look to join a postseason contender.
Yeah,
So
I was
we
gonna say,
just
you think he asked for it? I was
yeah,
gonna say he
just
probably
bought
asked for it. Yeah.
probably like a buyout type situation where it's just like, all right,
Mhm.
go play somewhere. Because I guess I did see earlier, like maybe January or something, that he might be traded for a second round pick, because if a team was interested in like bringing in Stanley Johnson to help bolster their team, the Spurs would be willing to ship him out. Which that's the whole point. He played with a young team to get some minutes and boost his value, but
And
If
he
they were gonna
tried
sign Danny Green,
and he was a guy that when he was out there, he was looking
I'll take Danny
to
Green.
make impact on the floor and have and make decisions like with the ball in his hands and that kind of stuff. So I could see that. But also probably other teams knew that and probably just waited it out. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
I
Um,
liked it. I liked his game. I wanted Stanley Johnson back in like the draft. He was like a top 10 pick. And some of that you could see, like the talent. I always say that when like there's a lottery pick that didn't pan out to be a star, like you can see why they were picked so high. Like they have talent, just natural like ability, just maybe like the basketball IQ or something is just not clicked 100% the way like it would for like these guys who become all stars. But I liked Stanley Johnson's game and what he brought to this team, and he was a good guy. Like every time he was interacting with the other guys, you've seen people have made comments about like even like Romeo Langford, right? Like I know he's been more involved this year, but like last year when we brought him on, he was just kind of like
He just sat there on the bench.
yeah, and didn't really do much. But Stanley Johnson was involved and kind of it would celebrate with the guys. He was a guy. I like Stan. Flat Stan,
Mhm.
like Michelle Beadle likes to say.
When he came in, right? When he came in, I thought the same thing. Like the plays that he was making, I'm like, why was this guy like not on a roster? I don't understand.
Yeah.
No, I mean, obviously, it's like one of those things where I don't like to give the Lakers the credit, but they like to like they'll pick up these kind of guys through the year, and I know that they did that last year with Stanley Johnson, and it was one of those things where obviously he's not a game changer, but he like contributed a lot to like the little success that the Lakers had over that year. So it was like a thing where I mean, like, when I saw us pick him up, I was definitely just like, wow, again, same thing. Like, he's not on a roster, and we picked him up. Like, this will be interesting to see what we could try to do to get his value up. And he played good for us, so there's no telling how good he's going to be whenever he actually gets on a court with some actual contending solid players. So
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
kind of lame that we do it this season, right? Like we make a move like that. We're like, man, this guy could help the team. Like of all seasons, like this season, you know what I mean? We're not playing for anything. Like that's we're making all these moves now. I feel like we should have been making moves to help Dejounte. Maybe that situation would have played out different if we would have gave that guy some help.
Yeah.
yeah.
and that's just with our in a sense evolving front office right now, because when you think about it in that 2018-2019 stint with DeMar, like we we could have made those moves beforehand, but we didn't have Brian Wright in the office. We didn't have like the stuff that we have right now where literally like this team just knows that we're like gonna be making these trades and stuff like that. Like it was still RC and Pop like making those decisions of, well, we're gonna stay conservative and we're not gonna make these type of moves. So even with the year that we had with Dejounte, we were trying to make those moves, but it's still one of those things where we're still like evolving into the place that we're at now, and we can still. I feel like there's still a lot of food left on the table for San Antonio. Like there's still a lot that we can do to make moves. To try and like make this team better and in both like the now and in the long run. So I mean, this is just one of those moves that I think was fine for the Spurs. I'm glad to see that Stanley Johnson will most likely have like a market to where he can be on a contender within this next week.
Yeah, yeah. Somebody
I
will
hope he
probably
goes to
pick him up.
Milwaukee.
He
I would love to see him in Milwaukee.
he had good effort. He definitely had some bonehead plays out there where he would be trying to do a little too much. But when you put him on a team where you let him know that his responsibilities are pretty small, and you can narrow his focus and just let him have good energy and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, he'll do a lot of good. So, all right. Well, shout out to Stanley Johnson. It
Shout
is
out.
interesting. It is interesting. I had put it in my notes. When it came to just like our final roster of like this is it, like, right, this is it for a certain guys like Isaiah Roby, right, to kind of like you're on the team for the rest of the year, that all that kind of stuff has passed. Now let's see what you got. And even in that very first game against not Detroit, sorry, I'm blanking. Oh yeah, no, sorry, against Detroit. Yeah, sorry. The first game back from the after the trade deadline. He started the game, right? Did he start? I think. But then still kind of found his way out of that rotation by the end of the game, right? So it's like I was a little concerned seeing that on day one of like, okay, a guy like him still made his way out. But now with a guy like Stanley Johnson off the roster, an even bigger door has opened for a guy like Isaiah Roby. You know what I mean? To push in and let's see what a guy like him can do. So let's kind of just stick there about like who's on the team now, right?
Wait, so I'm sorry. Like, so
Go ahead.
does us releasing Stanley Johnson that creates a roster spot? Are we able to sign Bassie?
Yes,
Like, to the roster spot?
That probably is what they're gonna do.
I
Yeah,
hope
because
so.
I was
I
kind
hope
of bummed out when, not bummed out. I know we got Yang, but like I wanted that spot to go to Bassie, and obviously that didn't happen. So maybe that's what this is. I'm sorry, I was just thinking like,
Maybe, yeah, possibly. I mean, the Spurs would be a team to do that versus like to try to go find somebody on the buyout market or any of
Right,
that kind of
yeah,
stuff, right?
yeah.
They're not in that market, so they would probably just get it done quick. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened later today. Shoot, you know.
Yeah, because we need a big man. Like we need another big guy. Zach Collins can't freaking stay on the court. That fool just fouls everybody. So, like,
our
Yeah.
other guy and our other guy hasn't got in yet. You know what I mean, Birch. So
Mhm.
all
yeah.
right. Well, let me kind of just keep framing this conversation in that direction. I mean, Josh kind of had started it before the Stanley Johnson news kicked in. Juan, do you have anything that you want to add specifically talking about like Graham and what he could bring? I know you're the one that kind of started to talk about him a little bit earlier too already. But just like from what you've seen in these past couple games, yeah,
You ask me.
yeah. Oh,
right. I'm still looking. I was still trying to figure out if we had our second round pick or not because
we do.
Yeah. I'm seeing like conflicting like websites and things that are saying like we do and we don't.
yeah.
But
I was looking it up as well. And it was with
Just
the
gotta
Doug
check
trade.
2K.
It was with the Doug trade that like made us not have our second round pick, but we have the Pacers top 55 protected second round pick, and they have our top 55 protected second round pick. So
so
that's
it's
So we're just
like
gonna
going to
swap
be
back.
so they're just
it's
gonna
gonna
swap back.
okay
So
that's why.
I don't understand why we
That is
did
so
something like
dumb.
that with the
Yeah.
2023 second round pick, but we do have our second round pick,
Well,
and
just
it
in
will
case one team won the
I
championship,
wonder if
then
there's a
we're gonna.
I guess
clause like
so,
in there,
right?
like depending, or you think it's those, those where they get
Yeah.
to choose the better one.
Yeah.
I wonder
So
if
well, that's
we got it or Indiana got it.
so that means if we have the worst record in the league, we'll have the 31st pick. Like we will have that top pick in the second round. But yeah, as far as Devontae Graham, I kind of a little bit like I'm right there in the middle with like a lot of good people in today's society. Can't be too far to this side, too far to that. I'm right there in the middle where I'm happy with what Devontae Graham brings. There's a clear like, oh my gosh, we haven't had a guy just be able to just shoot like this in a long time. When was the last time we had a guy you just like he was wide open? You're like, oh, he's gonna knock that down. Like it's been a while, especially to have a guy to add that to the team, the spacing and the like off the dribble like threat. How many times like in just that Pistons game alone did like defenders jump out towards him and they were like way out of the play because they were behind him? We haven't had people close out like on team in years, and I was just happy with that. And then on the other side, he was taking like the pretty tough shots, like pretty boneheaded decisions. There was the shots to end the quarters, to end regulation, to end overtime. I'm not I'm not a fan of those type of shots.
But
And
he held the ball the whole shot clock and then just threw a bullet to Gorgie. I was like, what the hell are you doing?
that too. And like I wonder what Pop's mindset is of like, okay, we just brought him in. I don't want to scare this guy off the team already, but like if he yells at him, like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I mean, so I wrote in my notes too. Just like in general about a guy like him, right? Let me see. I loved how at the in the first half he was trying to find teammates, right? Like he was like kind of passing people open. You know what I mean? Like they talk about that in football or whatever, or throwing them open, I think is the phrase, right?
Yeah.
He was doing that to our guys, right? People making a cut a little bit slow, and then all of a sudden the ball's right. Like, you get your hands up, boy. Like the ball's here. So that part, I was like, this is what I'm really interested in. I knew that he can get hot. I've seen him play well against us before. So like that part of it was kind of the given, right? So my whole thing was like, okay, we brought in a point guard. We've said many times about Jeremy and his role, but I would love to kind of have a second guy who has a little bit of those responsibilities. So all those are great. And then I also wrote in my notes too. Like as soon as he came in, I said, you could see him getting hot, but is liable to shoot you out of a game. You know, like I could see that happening too. And I didn't get to watch the Atlanta game, so I don't know what his shot selection looked like in that second game. From that point of view, maybe you guys can speak to that if it looked better or about the same. And then, but you like a little bit of that, like he wasn't afraid to call his own number, like on the first day of being with the team.
Yeah.
But I just wrote down, and this is a little bit more of like my general outlook for the rest of the year. You know, we've kind of reached like the final frontier of like what our roster is going to be like. Well, I say that, and then we made a release like literally right now. So I'm not gonna be negative about this roster. You know what I mean? We're gonna go out. We're gonna make a lot of mistakes. We're gonna do what we're gonna do. Even with a guy like Zach Callen starting, I'm not gonna be negative about it. You know what I mean? It's gonna be what it's gonna be. He's gonna go out and he's gonna try his best, and then that's what it's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? So that's just kind of where my head's at. So I don't know. I could see Pop. You know, he's just gonna sit and watch for the first couple games. He's not gonna do too much to them. And I would agree with that standpoint. You get to see them in their more like natural state of being. They weren't out there running any plays because they don't know any plays. You know what I'm saying? So it was just go out there, play basketball, and let's see what you got. So you got to see Graham in like his most natural, most comfortable kind of instinctual kind of play style. You know what I'm saying? Now, if over the course of the next couple of weeks, we can introduce more of the concepts to him, well, then we get to keep the good parts that we saw, right? The instinctual parts, and we start to wean out all the bad habits. And hopefully this is a good place for him to maybe revitalize his career, maybe not have the reputation of being able to shoot you out of a game, but instead is somebody who is deadly with his shot and a great decision maker, which makes you even better. You know what I'm saying? So that would be my hope for him moving forward.
And so he is under contract for a good little bit. Now,
Yeah.
There's been a lot of discussion about that. One of those years being like partially guaranteed, like real partial. And so you could move on from him without.
What is his contract?
He's on contract for next year. He's going to make 12.1 million as a 28-year-old, and then for the next year after that, he's making 12.65 million, and that and then one of those, I think maybe the last one is what Juan is saying was not all guaranteed.
Yeah,
and then the 2025 season, 25-26 season, he'll be a 30-year-old unrestricted free agent.
So we have him for 3 years. 3 more years?
This year plus 2 years on the books.
Which is why New Orleans gave up 4 second rounders, because that was basically a salary dump. Because they said that he wasn't in their rotation at all. So he was just like sitting.
He was not.
4-year contract for 12, 13 mil. They're like, well, if Jay Rich doesn't work out, at least we're off and we can spend that money again this summer. And so we helped him with like a salary dump. And so a little bit of like that is like what I kind of agree with Josh, where it's like, well, if this team starts to get like, I don't expect us to be competing for a championship, but you want to have good players surrounding your young players. It's the same reason why you had Jay Rich and Doug to begin with. And like, I don't mind keeping him. And he's like, I kind of like watching it last night. I was like, he's kind of like a Trae Young light. Like he doesn't take the best shots, and then they'll go in sometimes. And if he catches on fire, like you're just like, oh, like, okay, like that's cool. And it's almost like Patty Mills, like a little juiced up Patty Mills, where just like a little small guard who's not playing much defense because he really can't, and just like letting it fly. But just like, it's like like we said on 2K, like his shot, he's gonna take every shot he wants.
His tendencies are high.
Yeah, shot tendency is 100, and so like,
but it wasn't like that last game. You think? Like
No.
I feel like the Detroit game was that way because we literally had 9 people suited. So I feel like in his mind, he's like, "What are you gonna do? Pull me? Who are you gonna play?" Like that. That's how I felt. That Detroit game was at least.
Yeah, he only took like 10 shots yesterday, and
compared to 20 the night before, right?
Yeah, and they were all threes. So like that's what he's gonna add to the team, which is like, again, like I'm fine with that because this team needs spacing. You can already kind of see the difference in the spacing on this team than it was prior to the deadline, like 4 days ago. But at the same time,
the Yak effect.
Like the no Yak effect. Yeah, at the same time, I want Blake Wesley to get run. He's got to get through these like rough games because Malachi and Jeremy didn't look this comfortable, the first 10 games of the season. And Blake right now is just in that rough spot where he just is figuring it out. And I feel like he needs to continue to get burned because Matt Bonner kind of pointed it out right at the end of the Atlanta game last night, where it was like literally game, garbage time. Blake was just on a fast break, and instead of just going right into the defender and kind of taking a really contested layup, he just kind of kept his dribble and found Malachi in the corner for a wide open three. Didn't result in a basket, but Matt said like this was a shot that he would have taken or forced like 3 days ago, 4 days
Yeah,
ago.
exactly. A couple days ago, he did do it. We watched it.
And so it's like, he needs to like go through that. And so Devontae Graham just immediately slots right there, right in front of him because he's a better player than Blake right now. So like I don't know, I'm kind of conflicted. Again, I'm in the middle. And so
I mean, I think it really hinges on if Trey Jones is going to be available, right? Because he was the one that like when he's gone, you need a guy like Graham.
yes.
When he's back, I'm content. Like what you're saying, I'm content with letting Graham be the one who's like the third string point guard or the plug and play guard. But you let Blake get in there, man.
Is Devontae Graham a point guard?
I mean, I think he's
'Cause-
listed as a point guard, but I mean,
Well,
he's
I don't think
it's-
he should. I feel like he's.
It's
Yeah,
kind
but
of
he's
like
6
how
foot.
I was about to say it's kind of like how Patty sometimes wasn't necessarily the point guard, but he was, the smallest guy on the floor. It's
he had
you
the ball in
can't-
his hand in the
Hey.
like he was a point guard.
Yeah.
you can't make him. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So, I'm on this side where Josh was on the.
There were moments last night in Atlanta where Trey and Graham were on the court at the same time. But it's like what Josh used to say, like, well, I don't want 2 6-foot guys on the
Yeah.
court right now.
I don't want them together either.
Sorry.
So no, you're good. So just like Josh is on like that, like he likes keeping Graham. Juan's right in the middle. I'm on the opposite end of Josh, where I'm leaning more towards like let's just focus on the development of our guys, unless Graham takes like this like crazy efficient jump, like if the shots start to look more efficient and he starts to knock them down better, then it's fine. He's a good role player at that point. But at the moment, like, and I've liked him, but like, from what I can remember whenever I would watch him in Charlotte, I didn't really watch him too much in New Orleans. Obviously, y'all were saying that he wasn't even playing too much this year, but from what I can remember in his time in Charlotte, it was just that he was just a scoring guard. He was kind of just like a shot chucker, So even if he would get his high scoring, it would be on 30 shots, because he was able to just shoot that much in the dark ages for Charlotte, before they had LaMelo and stuff like that. So it was just like that's just like one of those things where if I'm gonna see him take 30 shots, no, like I'm not happy. I'm not gonna be super happy seeing him take just 30 shots on this team. I'd rather just see Blake Wesley and Malachi Branham and Jeremy Sohan take 30 to 40 shots.
But on a game like how they just pointed it out, on a game where we have our guys like Keldon Johnson, Jeremy Sohan, he's not going to take 30 shots, and so you just see it like we get a guy like him to be like what Jay Rich was. There was many times where because of injury, Jay Rich kind of had to be the de facto leader of the team, and that just is what it is, right? And there will be like at least plug and play nights where Graham kind of has to fill in parts of that role. You know what I mean? It's kind of unfortunate. Like I want like Malachi to have the ball in his hands at the end of fourth quarter and overtime against Detroit. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I wanted. There was one play. We talked about how he milked the clock and then took a bad shot at the end of the fourth quarter. But then I think it was like this towards the first or second overtime where he gets the ball and he's ready to run full steam ahead and Papa's yelling at him, no, like get the ball over to Malachi, and Malachi makes a good play at the rim, right? Like that's what I want to see moving forward, right? It's just let's tame him down a little bit and let's just let him play within us, and I think it'll be a decent pickup. You know what I mean? At least for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and I'll say like I get that, Jake. Like I'm the same way, and I was like that with all the young guys that we had like from the bubble. Like I want them to get run, but like there is just kind of you got to be a little bit realistic. Like there's a chance Blake Wesley is never as good as what Devontae Graham is right now, and so like if Blake is still just an inefficient like skinny guard who can't play defense next year and can't really like offer anything, he can't shoot. You know what I mean? He can't do anything. And then go into the third year, like it's the same thing. And Devontae Graham, a better player, a better point guard, then yeah, you keep him on the team and you play him over Blake. And that's why I don't want to just move on from Devontae Graham. Like I'm not ready to just throw him away like immediately, like over the summer for a pick.
Yeah.
Like I'd like to
We
see.
can afford to keep a guy on the roster at his salary, like right around there. I mean,
And
theoretically, you would want it to be a little less, kind of like the Birch. If he was making 10, 11 million, you'd feel great about it. You know what I'm saying? Uh, um, and then we are hoping to be a team where, unfortunately, our best player is probably one of the youngest players, and so most of them are going to be on rookie scale contracts until they get their big payday. So while you're in those areas, you can afford to pay your role players just a little bit
yeah,
more.
and you know that definitely everything that I was saying. I don't think I was like leading into we should just trade him right away. Um, but it's just one of those things where at least I mean I can give it this year where it's like all right if we want to just try to see what his value's at for a guy like Devontae Graham like that's fine. Um, and Juan, I agree with you. Like, there's just that not everyone's going to pan out. So, but we haven't even given Blake the chance to see if he is
Yeah,
going to pan out. So,
I agree. It's just like statistically, Dejounte turned into an all-star. Derek White was a good player. Lonnie was just a bench player. Like, like not everybody's going to turn into the all-star like Dejounte. And like already you got Jeremy and Malachi out of that rookie class alone, like kind of showing what they can do. Like, I'm not going to be disappointed if the 25th pick, Blake Wesley, is not, on their level. If he is just a backup point guard and that's it, like that's what he is. And that's okay. So like my expectations just are I'm not gonna do that to him like I was doing for Lonnie, just pretty much as Lonnie. Like I wanted Lonnie to be the sixth man of the year type guy, and like
He still has time.
yeah, he does. And like Devontae Graham is 28, like he is gonna look much because he's been in the league way longer and he's that much older, and these guys are 19. Like in contrast, they're gonna look really rough compared to him, and sometimes they're gonna look better because of like.
and I'll say this, Devontae Graham was a second round pick. So, we're talking about all these seconds that we got, that we retained, that we attained, sorry. And I mean, you can get solid rotational pieces in that second round, it might take like maybe a little bit more time than usual, but we kind of have that time, so if we're going to get some people in the second round this year, then I don't mind it just because, we can develop those guys. We do have the time. We're not going to be contending within the next year, so.
Yeah. Right on. All right. Well, we're a little bit over an hour. I know we wanted to keep it, a little bit short and to the point. We kind of talked to most of the time we talked about the trade deadline and what that meant for outgoing and incoming, both from a player standpoint and from like a draft capital kind of standpoint. Is there anything else that you guys want to talk about just as we're wrapping up, whether it be about our current roster and what we're going to have for the rest of the year, what you saw over the last couple games from them? Is there anything else that you guys want to bring to the table? If not, I think we're at a pretty decent spot. But Josh, I'll let you go. How do you want to wrap up the week?
I mean, I'm ready for the season to be over. It sucks. It's like, man, I like our team. I like what we have. Devin's hurt, and I don't even know, is he coming back this year? Have they said anything like his timetable or what?
He wants to come back.
Coming up, right?
He wants to come back after All-Star.
I seen like the workout videos, like he's like working out and he's like not playing obviously, but he's he's working out, and so it's like frustrating to me. I'm like, I would love to see this team like healthy, and at the same time I don't want I want to see Jeremy and I want to see Devin and I want to see like our starting five, but then I don't want to win. Like, man, I'm just like in a bad place right now. Yeah. It's like hard for me because I'm not used to this. I'm watching the double overtime game. I'm getting excited, and at the same time, I'm like, oh, what are we doing? Like, fucking lose already. Like, that's man, it's so sad. Like,
this is that's the precise reason I couldn't play fantasy football. I could never root for a guy to drop this ball, catch the next one, but drop this one. I couldn't watch football like that anymore. So I feel that pain.
Like it's tough, man. This year's been super tough. Like, I want the guys to do good, and at the same time, like, man, it's bad, man. It's been rough for me, dude. It's been rough.
Yeah, it's very rough, and I was the same way. I was watching the Detroit game, and you like if you look at the rosters for both teams, you're like, why? The casual outside fan, people are like, why would anybody care about this game? But like a Spurs fan, I'm still like so. I love watching the Spurs so much that like I was cheering and like so upset when like things were going on. We let Bogdanovich score 3 points in the last. We should have won that game. Like that should have been our game, and we let it
And we
slip
got
away.
lucky. His toe was on the line.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. And it's like this, like it was just crazy, like how I was like my emotions going through that game, and I'll never root for us to lose, but I will see the benefit. Like after the game we lost, that's a big tiebreaker with Detroit. If we have the same record at the end of the season, they'll be ahead of us in the standings, and we'll have the greater chance for like the best pick. And so
Mhm.
like I guess I don't know if that's what the plan was, like people say like the script, people say like people joke about it like that, but like if you look at it, like that was a game that's very important
I
to a
text
team.
that. I say, God damn, Devontae didn't get the script. That fool he wants to
Yeah,
drop 30.
yeah. So like it was frustrating, but try to look at the bright side of the stuff. We're one step closer to hopefully getting a top 4 pick, top 5 pick, and I don't know.
As long as that script says Wemby, Spurs and Wemby.
Mhm.
As long as that script says Spurs and Wemby. That's
like
all I
like
Yeah.
need.
Josh said, I think like the Devin Vassell stuff is like very precaution, like whatever. Like we don't want to win. We don't want to be competitive. We started the year off like 4-2, 5-2. It's because the young guys were up and running. And there was a lot of like good talent, like 1 through 8, 1 through 9, and then like they saw that, and I feel like they completely were like, all right, if
Yeah.
somebody's hurt,
Yeah.
sit them. We don't want everybody winning these games on
I
accident.
mean, I mean, I mean, last night I didn't get to watch the game, and I look and we come out pretty strong, and then it's a really competitive game for the first half, and then I look at the second half, and I was like, what happened? I was like, and I get it, we fall off in
Well,
the second half,
yeah, well,
but from a
DJ, I
go ahead.
think DJ and Trey Young had like 5 points in the first half. Like they were
Yeah.
just missing everything.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest. Again, I'm not trying to be negative, but then I look right and I'm like, all right. As soon as I see that it's a competitive game, but then I see Trey Young doesn't score a lot, Dejounte doesn't score a lot, which means Capella and all their interior stuff is having success again, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
what, so. I get it. Well, speaking of the script, man, on Wednesday, February 15th, we'll play Charlotte. Uh, that'll be another one of those kind of like tiebreaker coming, fighting for the bottom. And then we get March 4th and March 5th, back to back against Houston. One of them here in San Antonio,
Oh,
and the second one being in Houston. So by March 5th, which is not very far away, I don't think we have any other games against those two teams or Detroit for the rest of the year. So by March 5th, we should have a good idea of where that's going to stand, and then it's going to be inching our way by half a game every night. You know what I mean? Depending on who's winning and who's losing between those like three teams. So we'll see. Uh, Jake, do you want to add anything as we're wrapping up?
I don't really have anything Spurs related. I guess this would be my way to like to bring this in because the NBA did receive that complaint from the Warriors about the Gary Payton trade. And so one, I mean that's a big deal because the Blazers, lied. They lied and made whole 14 trade with a player that like wasn't healthy. So that could have some repercussions on the Blazers. And then if the trade gets vetoed, then James Wiseman's back on the Warriors. We better make some type of deal to get James Wiseman
Hey, we just got four
from the Warriors.
seconds.
yeah.
Yeah, like
You have 'em.
like if there's a second chance for us to be able to trade for a guy like him, like in the offseason, then I'm all for it. So that's my way of bringing that into the deal. That's just some general NBA news that happened a little while ago. So
Yeah, yeah. And if anybody wants to, I mean, like, I don't know. It's just crazy time that we're living, right? To see Kyrie in Dallas, and then the Kevin Durant to Phoenix and all that kind of stuff. So
I watched that first
uh,
Kyrie game and man, it was entertaining. It
yeah,
was entertaining. I his off court antics aside, like Kyrie's a very special player on the court, man. So um, I definitely
That's
enjoy
why
watching
I
this
said it made me feel good about the Jakob deal. Like you're getting a guy like Kyrie for one first round, like, and we got that for Yak. I'll take it.
And there were expiring deals.
until the Kevin Durant deal, where it was like 4 first rounders. But he's under contract too, so they got like a
Yeah.
But I agree. I like the one pick stuff because if that's what Kyrie immediately changed their trajectory of what they could do this year, it's Jakob Poeltl for hopefully a top 10 pick next year.
And we're gonna get him back.
Yeah,
There you go.
We'll get him back. Sean Elliott style. I love
There
it.
you go. Right on. Juan, do you want to add anything, for to close out?
yeah. I just like the 2 games, the 2-game sample size that we saw with no Yak plus adding Devontae Graham, a little bit like shooting. Zach doesn't like live at the rim when he doesn't have the ball in his hands like the way Yak does. And I don't know if it's just a coincidence yet. So it's like something to look out for this week. But like Malachi tried to poster 2 guys, and then Keldon tried to posterize. I think it was Capella last night. And
He almost
I
killed
feel
him.
like that. Yeah, it was crazy. And like I kind of feel like that's a little bit of like, yes, this team's going to be bad defensively. It already was bad. So, like, it's going to be, like, a negative on the defensive end. But on the offensive end, I'm looking for a little bit more efficiency for just having the court a little bit more spaced out and attacking the rim. Keldon has been living at the rim this last, like, I guess 2 weeks. He's been pretty efficient, and he showed it again last night as soon as he comes back from injury, like, or from missing a game. Like, he was just at the rim, and these guys are trying to poster. I feel like Zach's going to help kind of spread the floor a little bit and just allow that. And maybe we start seeing a little bit more poster dunks, even, I don't know, maybe it was a fast break I saw. Like Jeremy got like a nice dunk and but like just stuff like that. And
Yeah,
this team was
nobody
ready for that.
stopped him.
Yeah. So
On the fast break.
like I don't know. Just be on the lookout for maybe just a little bit more spacing and allowing drives for Malachi and Keldon and stuff like that.
Right on. All right. Well, I think that's a good place to kind of wrap up. Spurs related, I'll just quickly say, I hope if we can be competitive in 2 of these next 4 games that we got this week. We got Cleveland tomorrow. We got Charlotte. We got Dallas, and then the first out of 2 games against Utah. So if we can be competitive in a couple of them, just to again, like what Juan's saying, let's just try to keep building good habits and all that kind of stuff. And the chips are going to fall where they fall. I think we've had that mindset all year. Want to say shout out to you guys. It's been a while since all 4 of us have been together on the show. So today was a lot of fun. I appreciate that. So we're gonna get out of here pretty soon. Thanks for anybody who was able to kind of check in while we were here live. Thanks to anybody who gets to watch us on the VODs and any of that kind of stuff. Check us out on Twitter. Check us out on our YouTube. Check us out. We like to be around. We love to talk Spurs. And like I said last week, football's coming to an end. So if you need somewhere to be, we're here. We're here every Sunday. So we like to get up and talk some Spurs, and we're gonna keep doing it all through this rebuild. This has been an ugly season, like Josh said. It's been tough to watch sometimes, but we've been here just about every single week. You know what I mean? Minus a few. So we do it because we like to hang out with each other and we like to talk Spurs, right? So that's not going to change. Last thing before we're officially out, let's just real quick go around and give me your who wins and what's the score, Chiefs versus Eagles. So Jake, we'll start with you.
Oh man. Well, I'm going Chiefs for sure.
Okay.
Going Chiefs for sure. I think it's gonna be a low scoring game. I don't know, because the Chiefs defense isn't as good as the Eagles defense, but the Eagles like I believe in Pat. Like, man, I don't know. It's I'm gonna say like 28. The Chiefs are gonna win with 28. It's gonna be a weird. It's gonna be. I don't know. I can't.
They're gonna win with 28. That's it, dude. That's it.
They're gonna win with 28. That's all I know.
All right, we'll lock him into even 28-21. We'll just keep it easy.
All right, that works. That works.
21-28 Chiefs.
Mhm.
Josh, you want to go next?
Yep, 31-24 Chiefs.
Wow.
24. Okay.
That's what I was gonna say. All right, so I'll go 34-27 Chiefs.
It is going to be a high scoring game, man. It is.
Yeah.
But it's also not going to be a high scoring game. I don't know. It just really depends on how
To
good
me,
the defense
to
is
me, the
coming up.
Eagles have not like this has been the easiest path to the Super Bowl I've ever seen in my life. They had the dead last strength of schedule, right? So they had the easiest schedule. Of course, they did what they should have done because they do have a good team. And then you get Daniel Jones and the Giants, which to me they did not deserve to be there. They snuck
Cinderella
in.
run.
And then you have Christian McCaffrey playing fucking quarterback. Like I don't understand. Like it's been the easiest. To me, they have not faced a real team yet. And then on top of that, you get an injured Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. I'm like, God dang!
Is that why your score was a little bit closer? Because it sounded like you think they should get their butts beat.
And that's what I'm saying. If they played a healthy Kansas City Chiefs, I feel like it would be a blowout. I feel like it really would be.
Didn't Mahomes
blowout.
did he look way bad the week after the Chiefs? I'll be honest, I did not watch football after the Jags got out.
Well, he had the injury during the game, right? But then he had the week off to.
That's what I'm saying. Did
I mean,
he look better?
He
the
looked
next
good
week?
after the injury still,
because he's had some time off since that game,
yeah.
right?
I'm hoping that he's healthy, but it just to me, I'm just like, man, they have played nobody. They have like as far as their quarterbacks that they've beat nobody. Like this is by far the best quarterback that they've.
So then I will go. I'm gonna kind of go mini blowout, and I'm gonna say 20-35 Chiefs.
Okay,
that's a blowout.
I hope so. Yeah. I hope the Eagles get smacked. I really do.
Yeah. No. And
not even because I like Jalen Hurts. It's not even that guy. I want them to get smacked because of their fucking coach. I cannot stand that dude.
I like their receiving core, man. Smith and Brown. Those guys are talented.
Yeah. Okay.
We need our AJ Brown opposite of CD Lamb.
The only thing is when you hear the ex-Cowboys talk about and they're picking the Eagles, I feel like they're picking the Eagles because they're tired of Jerry. They're like, I hope the Eagles win because Jerry's not doing anything. Like Jerry said, oh, the Eagles went all in. Like, I'm playing the long game. Like they have 2 Super Bowl appearances.
the long game.
Yeah, like I don't understand how long you trying to wait this out, dude.
Yeah.
Like, so I feel like when Emmitt Smith said when he picked it, and they're like, "Well, what do you think Cowboys are gonna say? You picked the?" And he's like, "What can they say? Nothing." He's like, "We're not there. Like they can't say nothing." So I feel like a part of me wants them. I don't want them to win, but I'm just like,
this is enough, all right? We're see them in the Super Bowl. That's enough. That should be enough motivation.
There you go.
And you
not for Jerry. It's happened before.
Yeah, you're right. Not for Jerry Jones.
All righty. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and officially call it a wrap on that one. I hope you three have a good Sunday and get a chance to spend some time with your families and relax a little bit, watch some good football. Hopefully, I mean, as much as we want to blow out, I want it to be a fun night. I want it to be a good game. I want the festivities to be good, the preamble, the halftime, all that kind of stuff. Exactly. Like
this is
I'm excited for that halftime too.
So it's good when the NFL puts on a good product for the Super Bowl, including the game itself. So hopefully that's a good one. Hopefully anybody who is watching has a good Sunday and enjoys their Super Bowl Sunday as well. And we'll be back next Sunday on not Super Bowl Sunday, on regular Sunday.
I think it's All-Star
weekend. At the 10 a.m.s.
Oh, is it All-Star weekend? Okay, so we'll be seeing if we tweak our schedule a little bit for All-Star weekend and how that stuff goes. So just keep following us and keep your ears around for how that's going to go down. So all right, thank you guys. We appreciate it. Have a good Sunday and bye-bye. Go Spurs go. Peace out.
Peace, y'all.